story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Hi folks, John Cordisco back again with another great chess video for you. This is from round 6 of the 5th London Chess Classic. They have a rapid format this year. 25 minutes plus 10 seconds on the time control. This is between Mickey Adams, guy I like a lot, from England, and Vishy Anand, former world champion. I'm going to have to get used to saying that. Vishy's had a tough time this year. Let's see how he does in this game. Adams has white, Anand has black. It's going to be a symmetrical English. G3, G6, bishop, bishop, knight, 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 knight. D4. Pawn takes, knight takes, white castles, excuse me, black castles, white castles. I don't play the English much, but I like it. I like the setup. It's a lot easier to play, I think. Queen A5. Knight to C2. If he had gone E3, then knight to E5. And you can't see it because there's a whole bunch of pieces in the way, but there's 4 knights right in a row. That's unusual. But this bishop is bearing down, and it's going to be tough. That's a strong bishop. After knight to C2, D6. Make room for the other light squared bishop for black. Bishop D2. Queen H5. Swings the queen right over the other side. Rook to C1, just normal development. Bishop to H3. Black would like to get rid of the light squared bishop for white because it's a very strong bishop bearing down in this diagonal. Knight up. Bishop takes, king takes, E6. He's kind of eyeballing this square here. He wants control of it. There is no D pawn for white, so that's a good move. A subtle move, but I think does a lot of good. Knight to C2, D5. This is where Anand is trying his pawn break. If he had gone queen to C5 instead, which was suggested by the computer, B3, I think, and I think white's in good shape, even though it shows a tiny advantage for black. I do have my French 13 computer running off screen, and it shows a tiny advantage for black, like a quarter of a pawn. C takes, knight to E3. Now it might get a little hairy here for the white king. He's got some weak squares now here. The queen temporarily is out of the protection of the king. It's kind of blocked off. So it looks like black might have an attack coming. If white had gone E4 instead of knight to E3, after queen takes, rook takes, knight takes, bishop takes, pawn takes. It's basically an even game. I'm not real thrilled about the isolated c-pawn, but it's not the end of Western civilization. After knight to E3, knight to B6 for Anand. Mickey Adams goes queen to C2. Knight to D4. Queen to E4. F5. Here come the pawns. Here comes the attack. Queen takes pawn. Rook to F7. Now the queen has to go to A6. And the queen is out of the action for support of the king. It's basically blocked off. This is black's chance, I think, to break through. Anand goes F4, goes right after Mickey. Remember, this is a rapid time control, so some of these moves might not seem as precise as these guys are usually making. They are playing on a 25-minute plus 10-second increment. F3. Black currently has over a 2-point advantage, and white's up a pawn. That's how bad white's position is right now. F takes. Drops a piece for 2 pawns. Knight to d5. Here comes the other minor piece into the attack. Knight takes, queen takes, b4, queen b5. Looking for the trade of queens. He's up a piece for 2 pawns. Of course he wants to trade queens. And white almost has to. Knight takes. Rook c6. I think this is where Vishy has him. e5. Adams plays rook f to c1. Knight to d4. Rook to c8, forcing the exchange. But interesting little sneak there. Mickey just puts his rook back. I think that's a lot better move. Because what will happen to control the c file, the rook would have penetrated to here. And that would have been bad. Rook takes, king f7, f1. Rook to b8. c4. Rook to b7. That's an important move as far as I'm concerned. It gets the rook into play and at the same time guards the a7 pawn. a4. a6. Important. Bishop f8. Bishop d2 to guard the pawn. King f7. e3. It's about a point and a third advantage for black. But white's got a lot of pawns. Knight to e6. Bishop c3. Bishop d6. Rook to c6. You're going to see a lot of maneuvering now. Bishop up. Bishop takes. a5. Cementing that dark squared bishop there on b4. f4. Knight c5. Got a lot of maneuvering going to be coming up now. Bishop d4. Knight takes. King up. King e7. g4. King comes over. Rook to a6. Knight c3. f5. Pawn takes. Pawn takes. Knight to b5. It's looking good here for black. I think Vishy's got Mickey. Bishop e5. It is rapid, but white's trying to hang on by his teeth. Rook a7. If you had gone knight to a7, rook, king c8, king g4. That might be a little bit better for black, I think. After rook to a7, rook h6. Great move because the king has to come back. It's the only way to guard the pawn. Now, as we know, the king's an important piece, especially in the endgame. Now the black king is cut off. That really helps Adams a lot. Rook to b6. a4. Knight to a3. Bishop d4. Rook c7. It's funny that black's struggling here. I find that amazing, but he is. e4. Rook to d7. Bishop f6. Knight to c4. Threatening the rook. Rook to b8. Go back and move here. After knight to c4. Instead of rook to b8 for that knight to c4, I think that maybe rook check might have been a little more promising. Because after king, check, king, check. We all see that if a king takes here, bishop checks is just an exchange of rooks. That might have been a little more promising. But look what would have happened if rook had taken h2. Not good. After knight to c4, rook to b8, king, e5. Looks like that pawn storm might be working out for Mickey. He's only down at 3/4 of a pawn advantage for black now. Slowly, Mickey's getting his way back in the game. Knight takes. Bishop takes. Bishop d6. Now it's basically a draw. Bishop to d6 is an interesting alternative instead of knight takes e5. After e6 check, king, pawn takes, knight, king, knight takes d7. That's interesting. After knight takes e5, bishop takes e5, bishop d6, offering the trade of bishops. Bishops are traded. Now we get a rook and pawn ending that's dead drawn. I'll go quickly through the moves. Rook a8, king f6, rook takes, rook to d4. Black's going to get the f pawn. h3, rook to b4, and that's important. You keep that rook across so this white king can't come up. Because as soon as white checks, he'll just take, and it comes out the same. Dead draw. King to g3, rook, king, rook, and a draw was agreed. I thought that was a game maybe Vishy let slip through his fingers. Mickey held in there. And that's even people as good as Vishy. When you're playing a top grandmaster like Mickey Adams, their level of resistance, they'll just fight right to the last possible move that they can fight. And they look for a small advantage. Even if they're behind, they'll slowly work their way back into the game. And I think that's what happened here. Hats off to Mickey. It was a good draw. Round 6 of the London Chess Classic 2013. Got some other games coming up for the London Classic. I want you all to remember, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. I want to thank all my new subscribers I've gotten in the last few weeks. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.
Hi.
Oh, hi, honey.
That's my man. The fellow who invented do-it-yourself. Or maybe it just seems that way. As for me, there are certain things I'd much rather not do for myself. Take driving. I want my car to do most of the work for me. And that's just what my new Ford with optional power assist does. Let me show you. Remember when parking was so much trouble? Well, with Ford's Master Guide power steering, all turning is as easy as this. Nothing to it. Here's something that's exclusive to Ford in its field. A 4-way power seat. Not only does power move me forward or back, it can move me up or down to give me my most comfortable driving position at the touch of my finger. And with another touch here, I can raise or lower all 4 windows without moving from my seat. Each passenger has his own control switch, too. I also have Ford's Swift-Sure power brakes, which reduce pedal pressure up to 1/3. And Ford-O-Matic Drive, the smoothest, most versatile automatic transmission of them all. See what I mean about my Ford doing most of my work for me? It's the one car designed with a woman in mind.